everyone. I've never done this before, but this is extraordinarily London City. We're sitting on the street, literally in central London. I see the Big Ben right there a few meters away and an underground station. Usually this street is absolutely busy with buses. Hopefully we won't get run over soon. But then let's start away with this conversation. This is about London City, which has had more than 300,000 people sign on a petition which is pending with Sadiq Khan, the mayor, to say that London should be an independent state because much of London voted to remain in the EU, but that didn't happen. On the 24th of June, the UK, in a referendum, voted to leave the European Union. So people were really upset, angry, and many of them protesting. But for argument's sake, I just want to know what you think of this petition that London should be an independent state.
I think London cannot be an independent state, but I think there's space here for discussion and probably should have a new referendum.
Okay, a new referendum. Maybe London is not ready to be an independent state yet?
No, I don't think it's a very helpful question to ask, really, and it just shows, how really sad it is that the Conservative Party is playing politics with a nation like this. It's opened up so many rifts in the UK. You know, there's always a rift between London as a city and the rest of the country because London is such a bubble and it's such an economic engine. And over the years, it's been sucking a lot of investment away. And so this has really just opened up, divisions within our country. And so, I mean, I understand the. It's great to see the city is obviously very pro-EU. As myself, I was a Remain voter. It's great to see that there's that sentiment there. But to actually, start the conversation about having London as an independent state is just, it's silly, really. It's an absurd.
Absolutely. I think, and I think the UK is nothing without London. It is the capital city. It is the driving force. It is the economic engine, like he said. But it is also a very clear reflection of a global city, a city which has about 40% of people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and that's what makes London. But at this stage, how is it for a thought?
How is it?
For a thought, is it a serious thought?
I think it's something that British people would not desire for London to independent, and all the European people that lives in London, they're willing to stay and carry on helping this country to go forward and be one of the leading cities in the world.
Yeah.
And with the whole situation, it's just not good for anyone, really. I don't know who is getting any benefit out of it, but
that's the verdict.
It's certainly not the people. And I think a referendum was led by lies and just the manipulation of the mainstream media cannot be accepted by the parliament.
Okay.
I think they have the chance to let this pass and carry on with our normal lives.
London and the rest of UK, how different and how huge is this disconnect?
I think London is a cosmopolitan city, multicultural, unique in the world. I cannot think about any city like maybe New York or Toronto, cities like that, such multicultural as London it is. I think if you lose that thing, you get London is never gonna be the same as economically, as a social city, the tourism, everything. I think we should think about being independent. It's true.
Does London connect more to other global cities like a Singapore, like a New York, than it does with its own country, which is the UK? Do you want to take that?
Yeah, certainly I think that is the perception amongst many of the other people in the UK. You said that the UK is nothing without London. I think really London is nothing without the UK, and that's often forgotten.
Before we get into the discussion, I'd like to show you that. It says, "We love the EU." Okay, great. So this is part of a rally, and most of them here have voted to remain, like London has and like many youth in the country have. But I'm going to go across to the Englishman first to ask him his state of mind at this stage.
So I guess the vote was a shock, because most people I know, which means I might live in a bit of a bubble, would have voted to remain, but it wasn't the way the rest of the country felt. So it's split the country, I think.
Very
in London.
divisive indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you also understand the emotions that voters who have voted out feel like at the moment?
Yeah, I do, because I know people who voted out. And I think they voted out for reasons that aren't to do, a lot of them, with racism, but it has been leapt on by that side.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more extensively about racism, given the spate of racist attacks that we've seen allegedly since the last 1 week or so, since the 24th of June. However, at this stage, my other big question is, why is it that youth today increasingly are towards a one world?
Say that again, sorry.
Why is it that the youth today are increasingly towards a one world instead of being inward?
Well, I think the youth appreciate more the value of being in a European Union where it provides opportunity for employment and growth and travel economically and socially.
Sure. If there were to be a second referendum in Scotland, would you vote to be in the UK?
Well, I don't get a vote, unfortunately, because I live in London, but I would always vote to remain in the UK.
Remain in the UK and remain in the EU?
And remain in the EU.
Okay. However, unfortunately, that's not going to happen, because I think increasingly people have realized, including some MPs have concluded, that a Brexit means a Brexit. But the question that I asked him to you again, youth and being global, being in a one world, isn't that something that feels so heartening at a time when we have an era of politicians who are increasingly speaking hate and divisive politics in their regular language?
Yeah, well, I think it speaks to a disconnect between the politicians and the people and the youth, and what the next generation really wants for their people and their government.
Sure. We're asking this specifically because you have in America somebody like a Donald Trump, we have a Nigel Farage here in the UK, and you have a lot of these people getting a lot of attention for the good or I don't know what. But at a time like this, the youth from different parts of the world, like this particular group itself, reflects another side. So it clearly shows the disconnect, like you said.
Yeah, but seeing what's happened here, it makes me
wonder what's going on.
I mean, it really makes me think that Trump could win in the US in November. So I think it's scary times.
Does it worry you very much?
Yeah.
Okay. Will you be watching in America? Do you have the rights? Would you be traveling?
I'll be here, but I'll be submitting an absentee vote for the election.
Okay.
Sure.
Good luck with America elections. From Australia, you got to vote like I would in this referendum, given by virtue of being Commonwealth countries. What is your state of mind at this stage?
I'm quite upset for Britain. I think it's not just the vote to leave the EU, but to become a different kind of country, which is not quite the country that I migrated to. So I'm quite worried about the future and where this might take British politics.
Is it really true that migrants, even Scottish people today, are more worried because the accent is so very distinct that you fear of any racist attacks? Is that true at all, or is it exaggerated?
I personally haven't encountered anything like that, and I wouldn't expect to.
Your biggest worry?
I think it's the same. I mean, my worry, I was devastated by the vote. I think my concern is it was based on people's vote was as a result of lies and misinformation about what they were voting for, and it is indicative of a sense of intolerance in the country and a fear of immigration when it's really things that people don't understand. And I've heard in the last week about increased attacks, racist attacks and incidents. Similarly to Michael, I've not experienced anything myself, but the fact that it's being reported is very worrying. It's a really worrying time.
You were of Indian origin?
Yeah, so I'm of Indian origin, and I haven't actually had any experiences happen to me because I think in London we're really lucky. People are a lot more open-minded. I mean, about 70% voted in.
Oh, yes.
So I feel I'm really lucky here, but I have a friend up north, and somebody told her of Indian origin, and somebody had told her just in the street to go back to her own country. And I mean, even in London, although it's less often, it has happened. Like, people have witnessed it. Even if it's not been towards them, that you've heard people on the streets saying, go back to your own country. And I think, sadly, this Brexit has kind of normalised it and made people feel a lot more comfortable with, just saying what they want to.
What are your thoughts at this moment? Are you worried?
I'm really sad about this. I think we should come back and do a new referendum and let people vote again.
But another referendum, hope against hope.
I don't know if another referendum is the solution. I think that it's the parliament who has to take the place of this.
The parliament,
Yeah.
right there. Okay,
I agree with that. I think another referendum could cause a lot of problems because people would start saying, you know, this is anti-democracy, which is obviously not something that would happen. But then also I feel like you need to question, you know, should such a democratic decision should it be left to the people for such an important decision?
For an important policy decision, should that be left alone? This young gentleman, what are your thoughts at this stage? Are you concerned I know of people who've been saying that they are concerned when they step out of home because the increase in the spate of racist attacks has just increased so much.
Well, first of all, it's great to see so many people sharing the same thoughts and the same energy around, and I think it will just unite us more and show the true colors, and eventually it will serve a purpose.
Are you concerned for your job here?
Not actually, no. I think it will just...
Concerned about the pound falling?
Slightly, but no, I don't think it will eventually...
Okay. So you are hopeful that eventually the dust will settle and things will become normal again?
Yes, I'm always always positive.
That's an optimistic thought. I'd like to bring in you if I'm allowed to. Yes. She's wearing a T-shirt which says "in" and it has those European the European flag. Yes, a lot of people here indeed have voted to remain. So I don't have an out voter here, but since I have so many in voters, you guys are at all going to be giving up and saying, okay, fine, let's move on and let's think of what's going to happen next?
I think that it's a very grey situation, because I think even in the Remain camp, there are people like myself. I'm Remain and Reform.
Okay.
And I think there are probably people...
Okay, Remain and Reform.
That's my slogan, Remain and Reform.
Okay.
And I guess there's lots of different diverse threads within each side. Within the exit side, there will be people who will still want a relationship with Europe. So all the media sound bites of labelling up each camp with particular labels like you're a bigot or you're a radical or etc. actually are misplaced.
Okay. What is your message to people out there? Because there have been so many racist attacks. Allegedly, none of them founded yet, none of them proven guilty. But what is your message? Would you say, however trivial it may be, report to the police? Because at this stage, I see a lot of it on Twitter and social media, but none of it going to the police.
As long as people are talking about it, I feel like as long as people aren't keeping quiet about it, that's important, because, you know, it needs to be recognised that it is an increasing problem because of the Brexit. It's not something that should be...
Like she said, hopefully Brexit doesn't become a license for people to become as brazen about it, no matter how, what their views may be. Your message? Report it to the police, would you say that?
Definitely report it to the police, yes.
Okay, report it to the police. Nothing is as trivial. Your message?
I don't know what. I understand.
Okay, your message to people who are watching this, particularly those who have experienced some level of racism.
Yeah, I think it would be good if you can share it with a group of friends and make it public, make it out there. So try to find different solutions.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Talk to your friends. So a lot of people at this stage saying, no matter how trivial the incident may be, talk about it. It's great that people at this stage are talking about it, but because only together there is a solution at this stage, and particularly in the Remain side, which is 48% of people who have voted to remain, this strong sense of feeling that at this stage, not just London, but the rest of United Kingdom has to come together, because this is a country at this stage extremely divided, and hopefully I will stop reporting about racist attacks simply because of the decline in it and not because of anything else.